Lionel Messi back in action in Jamaica. Our Inter Miami Herons 5 in a row. Winners of 5 in a row. And Lionel Messi back out on the pitch for the Inter Miami Herons against the Caribbean champions, Cavalier SC. Folks, welcome on into West Palm FC. This is our brand new football soccer podcast that we're going to be running on ESPN West Palm Play. I'm Mike Rizzo. I'm going to be your host. And then I got Elias Bustamante here from ESPN Deportes 760 AM. And I have Damian Perez as well from 760 AM, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN 1063. We'll start with Elias here. So, Elias, number one, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being a part of the show. Tell us your soccer/football allegiances and why you love this game so much.
Awesome. Oh, thank you. First of all, we have to thank Mike for all this. You're like the head of this project, so I really appreciate it.
Well, it's been a collaborative effort.
Yeah,
it's been a collaborative effort.
It was about time we have a soccer show, football show, like the real football here in ESPN West Palm. I am an Arsenal fan, so it's been a tough
Damian.
5-6
Arsenal?
years.
Oh, boy.
Arsenal,
I know a lot of them.
Yeah, no. It's a tough 6 year, but it's an Arsenal fan, and I just love the history of Arsenal, how they play. Arsene Wenger. Titi Henry is one of my favorite players, Henry. And I don't know, like, for example, Bergkamp, the elegance playing. So that team just, I think, is class, and that's something I like and I love, so that's why I'm an Arsenal fan. Absolutely.
And then Damian Perez, give me your affiliations. I already know one of your affiliations, and I know we're not going to see eye to eye on a lot of things, but lay them on me, partner.
Well, good afternoon. Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of the Uruguay national team. I'm from Uruguay, so I'm a big fan of that. It's probably my number one, my first love, I have to say. But apart from that, big fan of Barcelona in Spain and a big fan of Liverpool.
That's the one that hits home to me because, folks, I'm the biggest Manchester United fan that I'd like to say in South Florida. Yeah, and we're an absolute mess right now, and that's a whole podcast in itself. But we will, later on in the show, we will be hearing from Ruben Amorim talking about that big win yesterday, that big Europa League win yesterday against Real Sociedad. And this is kind of how the show structure is going to work. So we got 3 segments: Messi Mania, Around the World, and Pitch Preview. Messi Mania is where we go through all the big Inter Miami news. I am a part of the English radio network. I do the pregame, halftime, and postgame, and I fill in for the great Ken Levica on play-by-play from time to time. Elias Bustamante is part of the 760 AM Deportes crew, and same with Damian Perez. So we are all covering.
Big fans of Inter Miami as well.
We're all fans of Inter Miami. We're all covering Inter Miami and very close to that situation. And I did want to start with that Messi Mania and talk about the latest news because, boys, we've been talking on the side. There's been so much speculation with Lionel Messi and what's going on there. Is he injured? Why isn't he playing in these games? Fans have been very upset, too. Let's call it for what it is. Fans have been very upset with Inter Miami and Messi not playing in some of these games, but it's a long season. My take on this, folks, it is a long season. You're going to be playing games into the fall. You're going to be playing in cup after cup after cup. And let's not forget about MLS playoffs, too. I'm completely fine with Lionel Messi resting in these games and not playing. Now, I understand the fan factor. I understand the fans pay for these tickets to go see one of the GOATs, to go see, one of the best soccer has ever seen. But at the same time, you got to understand Inter Miami is trying to win every competition that they are in. And Elias, they want Messi to have fresh legs in a lot of these competitions.
100%, like they want fresh legs. But I mean, and I know everybody's going to agree with me, but Messi's 38 years old. Messi is not 28.
Right.
So the thing with him is like right now you have to manage the time, you have to manage his legs. And I do agree with Mascherano not playing him the last 3 games. Also, you have to see that Messi plays for Argentina. And Damian might think like me, as South Americans, our national team goes over your club. Because it's your national team. You want to represent your team. You want to represent your country. And Messi in this is against your countries, against Uruguay, and against Brazil.
Yep.
2 big matches. So for one side is Messi resting because he had like a, how do you say this, like an overloading?
Yeah, it was like an overload.
And if I could butt in too real quick, it's like he played a lot in the preseason.
Yeah.
He played a lot in the preseason. He played the full 90 minutes against NYCFC. So like It's a long year, Elias.
And ultimately, I mean, 7 matches, 6 wins, 1 tie.
Right.
Whatever they're doing is working. Let's keep rolling with it. And I think, like you said, it's a long season. MLS, you kind of have to manage. You just got to get into those playoff positions.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But CONCACAF, you kind of have to be present for it, game in, game out.
Yep.
So I think what they're doing, managing Messi's minute, has been great, and it's been working. So, I mean, let's keep rolling with it.
You have the quality to play without him, though.
And Elias, you mentioned you're South American as well.
Yeah.
Tell everybody you're yep.
Yeah, it's Venezuela, so my country again. Venezuela, my national team. Venezuela. Yep. We haven't been to a World Cup, so we're working on that.
Yeah.
To be in the World Cup.
But hang on, we have a Venezuelan on the Inter Miami squad.
Yeah, that's true. Atletico Segovia, who is probably, I'll say, is the perfect replacement for Diego Gomez, or an even better player than Diego Gomez as a replacement for him. So far, I mean.
And that's another thing to mention. I mean, without Messi on the field, these players get to, I don't want to say play more freely, but they get more, they're more influence, more influence in the game.
And when Messi's out there, they're trying to get the ball to him.
Exactly. We saw it last night.
Yeah, he's coming off that right wing. He's coming central. He's getting inside. He's playing that inside forward role. And it's all focused around him. But you guys hit the nail on the head with you have the squad to win fixtures without Lionel Messi. And as you guys know, and I'm going to let the fans know here, Tadio Allende is my guy.
Yeah.
What a signing by Javier Mascherano, and what a player. He drew a pen last night. Allende drew the pen last night. He was on a 4-game goal streak heading into that game. Allende is a Celta Vigo loan player, meaning he plays in Spain's top division in La Liga. And I really think he is the perfect left wing player to Messi being on the right. I'm loving Atletico Segovia playing that attacking mid as well. There's a lot of things to look forward to Inter Miami this year. I think, as you guys said, in the 6 matches, 5 wins and 1 draw, and in 2 of those games, you were down to 10 men.
Yeah.
And that's that's where I want to go next. You guys worried about Inter Miami going down to 10 men. Been a lot of cards this year, too. There's been a lot of cards this year. Toto Aviles, our starting center back, had to miss a game because of a red card against NYCFC. And then let's not forget Ian Frey. I understand the red card got rescinded, but he did receive a red card at the end of that Houston game that I was, fortunate enough to be on the call for. But yeah, and then Ustari coming off his lines. Now, after seeing the replay and deep diving into that Ustari one, kind of thought it was a bit of a flop by Zaha, but you can't come off your line like that.
Yourself.
You cannot come off your lines like that. So I'm a little worried about the discipline, but they have the talent and the players, I think, to even overcome 10.
Yeah.
But that's dangerous to play like that.
It's dangerous, but I think, again, like, for example, Ian Frey was something after the game, and it was not even him going after the other player. It was the other player coming to Ian Frey, so he didn't do anything. He didn't touch. He didn't fight. Nothing. So that red card, I'll take it out. That one is from Ustari. He tried to save the line of defense of the team because the line, I know, Damien, if you saw the game, it was a little bit high.
It was.
Yeah. So what happened was the obvious thing was going to happen. Zaha went behind, got the space, and it happened. Like, it was Ustari or another team, it will be in a red card. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's an issue with, we have to be more careful. It's like, you have to be more disciplined. In my mind, in my head, it's like you have to be more disciplined in the defense so we can avoid those type of things, those situations. Because also, Ustari, again, he's not a young keeper. He's like almost 40 years old.
Yeah, and Mascherano, Calendar played a lot of the time last year with the old manager, and now Ustari is playing a lot with Javier Mascherano. Damien, your thoughts on the cards?
I think it's not sustainable. I know we've gotten results in the 2 of the games that we went down early to 10 men, but in the long run, once we get to tougher competition, it's not sustainable. And I think to the Ustadi red card, it was a bit reckless. I think as an experienced player that he is, he should have known better. And Zaha, he's always going to take advantage of a situation like that. If you come out, expose yourself like that, Zaha knows what to do. He's played in Europe for I don't know how long, Crystal Palace legend. So you just have to be, like you said, more composed, less immature mistakes because coming into the season, that's kind of what we talked about with Inter Miami. That's been Inter Miami's Achilles heel, just the dumb mistakes, the immature mistakes, and they usually come early, so it puts you in a hole early.
100%. And now the games that Inter Miami is going to play are very tough. We have Atlanta, Philly, Toronto, Chicago, and Columbus Crew.
Yep.
In those games, imagine getting 1 or 2 red cards.
It's
different.
It's different.
You look at the quality, too. Almoram, who used to play for Newcastle, he's on Atlanta. They have a good striker, too, who is up there in goals in the Premier League for Atlanta. And Philadelphia is the hottest team in the MLS.
And they just eliminated us last year from the playoffs.
Yeah, in that second round. So I don't want to, I guess, revenge game. Maybe I'm playing it up a little bit for our Herons. But certainly, I think this is a game that they've had circled. And I'm interested to see if Lionel Messi is going to play in this game coming up. But the boys hit the nail on the head. Atlanta United and the Philadelphia Union, your next two fixtures. Now, Inter Miami will not play next weekend in the MLS, but they will be playing this Sunday. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff. Atlanta United hosting our Inter Miami Herons. And then March 29th, the Herons are hosting the Philadelphia Union at beautiful Chase Stadium. Well, that'll kind of do it for our Messi Mania, Inter Miami-esque kind of news. The Herons are red hot, as the boys mentioned. 5 wins, 1 draw. And 2 of those games, they were down to 10 men because of red cards. Javier Mascherano has this team buzzing right now, and we'll keep an eye on Lionel Messi and see how many games he's going to play as we progress here very early on in the season. But Elias, Damien, it's time to go around the world. So, folks, around the world is where we go, no pun intended, around the world and check in on all of the big soccer action around the world. How can't we start with Champions League, boys? Because we had 2 fixtures. We had 2 fixtures that I think could be the games of the year so far. Obviously, with these Champions League games, boys, they're always going to be good. Yeah. But the 2 that I'm looking at, that PSG and Liverpool fixture and Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid fixture, where, teams went through on penalties. It wasn't able to be decided in 120 minutes. Yep. And we had to go to penalties. And let's start with that PSG-Liverpool game first, because our good buddy Damien Perez is a big Liverpool fan. Now, Damien, I'll give you the floor here. Your thoughts on the game. We were doing our duties for Inter Miami, my Pink Smoke show. You were helping me out with that day. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, Liverpool probably didn't deserve that result after 2 games. PSG, believe it or not, was the better team after 2 fixtures between their matchup with Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. As the Liverpool fan, I mean, I could admit that. The 2 games where Liverpool and PSG played, PSG, like you said, was the better team. In the first game, I mean, PSG should have scored 3 minimum in the first half.
Right.
And in the second game, I believe that the lineup was wrong.
Okay.
I don't understand.
So let me press you a little bit. Why was the lineup wrong?
I just don't
What
understand.
Arne Slot do wrong?
I don't like starting Jota. I don't like the start of
now,
Jota.
Elias, is this the Uruguayan and Damien speaking
because,
a little bit?
Yeah.
Because Darwin, let's call it
Darwin.
If I could push back a little bit, Darwin missed that pen to kind of start the downward spiral in penalties.
That's kind of my point.
Okay.
Okay. I feel like Darwin Nunez would have been better from start, coming off the big assist in Parc des Princes and also the big goal and penalty that he won in the EPL fixture. So he was kind of in great form. You bench him. You start Jota, who's not in good form. He actually hasn't scored in Champions League since 2021, fun fact.
Wow.
But you start, and it's not just Nunez. You had Gakpo as well. I know he's just coming back from injury, but you had Gakpo. Why Jota? You bring Jota in from the start, and then you bring in Darwin Nunez around the 7th, whenever it was that he brought him in, essentially to finish off the game and for the penalties, which I don't think is the I wouldn't send Darwin Nunez to kick a penalty second.
Yeah, and that was
the mental that he's had.
Correct. And Elias, that was the big questions I had with my soccer friends. My buddies are like, Riz, why the hell is he stepping up to take that penalty?
It's too much pressure.
And it's always, it seems like it's always him for that stuff to happen.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as Damien said, mentally, Darwin was not in the game. Like, as soon as he got in the game, he was making passes he was not supposed to do. He was making runs he was not supposed to do. I think the first play was with Luis Diaz, and they didn't communicate well. So Darwin was not in the team in a game the other day mentally, and I think he's not in the team physically for next year. I think he's going to go out. I don't think he fits Arne Slot. I think, and I agree with you, why he was not going to start. Maybe Arne Slot thought that Jota was going to be better at pressing.
I got to give you some pushback on that. I think he fits the system perfectly. The only difference, the thing that's standing out is his consistency. He hasn't scored, but everything he's done apart from scoring, putting the ball in the net, which ultimately is the most important thing for the striker. So I get the criticism.
Right.
Yeah,
but everything he does, from pressuring, from build-up play, it's perfect. It's just the finishing that he's been inconsistent with.
Well, you know what happened also? Like, how much was Darwin? Like 90?
70.
70?
Around 70, 80.
Around 70,
He was
It's a lot of money back
he
in
was
the
a
day.
record
This was
signing.
what, 3-4 years ago too?
This was at 2022.
From Benfica?
Yeah. So look at this. Like, I understand he might not fit. Maybe he was perfect for Klopp because Klopp was more like, let's press, let's run.
Right.
Slot, yes, he likes to press, but he's a little bit more conservative than Klopp. Like, we don't see that rock and roll every day. So that's why I don't think it fits him properly. Like Gakpo and Jota, yes. But you can like defend a guy who scored
All right, so you're not a believer in
way.
Jota at all.
It's just the numbers aren't there.
And I agree with you.
And not only are the numbers not there, but he gets injured every other game.
They're there in the Prem though, right? They're there in the Prem. Jota's a good player in the Premier League.
He's a good player though. He's a good player. But I mean, again, with Darwin,
5 goals, 3 assists in the Premier League.
Yeah, but I mean,
in 10 games started. I mean,
not bad.
That's not bad at all. But I mean,
not bad.
If you go with
that's
Darwin,
I mean, that's 8. What? That's 8 goal contributions in 10 games.
Darwin
I take that as a miserable United fan.
Yeah, but Darwin
you want
has
Højlund? I'll give you Højlund for Jota. How about that?
But I'm telling you, like, it's not a big difference.
Darwin has 5
Darwin.
goals and 8 starts. So if it's not bad for Jota,
sure.
I'm
all right.
That's the bias too, because
no, that's fine. And I'll listen to Damien about. I think there's something there if you're not consistently playing. If you're not consistently playing, then how are you supposed to find form?
Especially a striker.
I get it, but I don't think that was the end-all, be-all in the game. Like, how aren't you finding a way for Mohamed Salah to get behind that defense for PSG? How aren't you?
Mohamed Salah has we haven't talked about it enough, but Mohamed Salah had many chances in that game, especially in the first half. He had one where he was basically man-on-man with the goal. He sent it over. So that's another aspect. Mohamed Salah did not have the best game against PSG.
Liverpool, they've been the team. I thought they were a team of destiny this year. I thought that they were going to win the Champions League and win the Premier League. And obviously, they're still they got an EFL Cup, the Cup final that they're going to be playing for this weekend that we'll talk about when we head down to the pitch preview. But Liverpool has been that team for me this year. I thought that maybe they take a step back without Klopp. It turns out that Arne Slot, it was plug and play. And I know it's different styles, different whatever, but when you have veteran players like Salah, like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Virgil van Dijk, you're able to plug and play. And Elias, speaking of Virgil van Dijk, there's a lot of speculation about if Van Dijk, Salah, and Trent Alexander-Arnold are going to be back next season. Well, Arne Slot specifically talked about that after the game, and we do have sound of Slot kind of answering questions to the media about if some of his veteran players are going to be back next year. Elias, let's take a listen to that sound right now.
I don't know what's happening next season as well in terms of results, but that's not what you mean. The only thing I know is that I want Virgil to be here next season, and all the rest is talks about contracts, and that's not what I do over here.
Now, Damien, as a Liverpool fan, are you worried about these 3 possibly not being back with the club? I thought Trent Alexander-Arnold was a done deal, basically, to Real Madrid. But I read something the other day that maybe that's not the case anymore. How confident are you that there could be something figured out between these 3 guys, and Van Dijk, Salah, and Alexander-Arnold?
Your first question was how worried I am?
Yeah, how worried are you?
I'm pretty worried. Those are 3 big players. 3 players that you can argue are probably in the top 5 of their position. So, I'm pretty worried. But I think there's also a sense of leverage play. You know, if you're Van Dijk, why not go talk to PSG?
And that was a report after the game, right, Damien?
Correct. He was talking to, I think it was the president of PSG. Why not go do that and play the leverage games with Liverpool to get the best contract you can get? I mean, there's also a business aspect to this as well. So, I mean, I'm holding on hope that this is leverage. If I had to be realistic and let one of them go, I would say it's Trent.
Okay, and then Elias, how are you seeing this situation run out? It's tough. It's a lot of money too.
It's tough. You know what?
They're both worth it though.
Yeah, but you know what? I will
They're older though.
Yes, they're older, but I mean, if you want to compete, tell me one center back that's better than Van Dijk right now.
It's tough.
I can't.
It's tough.
I don't. I mean, unless do you want to? Do you want any of the Barca boys or the Real Madrid boys?
No. There's not, because I mean, if you go for a guy from Real Madrid, who are you gonna go? Rudiger? He's almost the same age.
How about you're an Arsenal guy, Saliba?
Where are you gonna go for my team?
Saliba's good.
Saliba, if he leaves Arsenal, he's going to Madrid.
I know he is, and trust me, my buddies are already worried about that.
and I am too. But I rather.
But Saliba's quality. I'm pushing back a little bit. Like Van Dijk, obviously, has been the best for a very long time. Yeah. I just don't know if he could consistently do it over the next 2 or 3 years. And how long is the contract going to be?
But
This is the last chance for these guys to
Van
take
Dijk
advantage.
is a very cerebral player.
Yes.
He's very smart. He knows how to play the angle, so he doesn't really depend on his physicality and athleticism, although he's blessed physically.
Yeah, 100%. But what Damien said right now is also true. Like, Van Dijk is not like a super fast, super physical guy. He's more of a brain guy. He reads the game perfectly. So the same happens with the goalkeeper. As older as they go, they play better because they know how to read the game. Maybe he's not going to be super fast, but then that's how you find a solution. You put Van Dijk and then you put another center back who's younger and faster who cover for him. But you have a guy on the back who's going to be solid and organize your defense. So they have to renew Van Dijk. I'd rather have Trent go and keep Salah and Van Dijk.
And you have, Damien, you guys have other guys that could play the fullback position too.
Connor Bradley has shown he's a very
you
young
have
player.
depth. You have more depth at that position, at the fullback position, than the other ones like winger and center back. That is for sure. But boys, let's move on to the next thriller that we had. So that was the first game, I believe Tuesday night. We saw that unfold, and I'm loving the time switch right now. That we made the time switch here in the United States. We're able to watch some of these games that go into extra time when we get home from work. But the second one that went into extra time, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, and the story of this game is the double touch. And I reminded Damian Perez. Damian and I, we've been busy bees this week with ESPN West 106.3 on ESPN West Palm, and we were watching this one as well. And Dame's like, Riz, they took off the goal, and we don't have sound because obviously we're within breaks and whatever. You go, Riz, they took off the goal. I said, Damien, it's the double touch. I saw it happen to Big Ivan Toney with Brentford 2 years ago in the Premier League, and here we are 2 years later in a cup final, not a cup final, in a knockout stage in the Champions League, and Atletico Madrid gets hit with a double touch. I thought it was the wrong call. A lot of people are alluding that Real Madrid, quote unquote, paid off the referees.
We're not here.
We're not here to talk about. We're not here to talk about that. But it was certainly a favorable call. So we got to dissect that, and then also Vinicius. You guys know I love Vinicius. I understand that he's been a problem for Real. Yeah. I understand that his antics have been a problem. I don't understand why Ancelotti, as good of a gaffer that he is, why he would give him the penalty after Kylian Mbappe got awarded the penalty. That makes absolutely no sense. But this was one of the crazier games that we've seen all year, Damien.
Absolutely. And just to dive straight into it, I hate that call.
The double touch.
I hated that call. I feel like it was very unjust to the game. And at the end of the day, I mean, we see it in the NFL, for example. If it's not clear and obvious, if it takes you 24 hours to release a video that proves it, you just got to let it go.
Right.
You have to let it go. I don't think we had the views at the game. And ultimately, if there was a touch, I think there was a touch. I think it was very slight, and it didn't affect the ball. I don't think the ball rolled at all. I mean, I just hate it. UEFA actually came out on Thursday and said they will be discussing to determine whether the rule should be reviewed in cases where a double touch is clearly unintentional. Yeah. So, I mean, if they have to come out and have to review the rule, maybe there is some room for change in that rule.
Basically,
or alteration,
they're going to make
a
new rule.
Yep.
Basically, they're going to make a new rule.
It's got to be obvious. It's got to obviously affect the play.
And then, Elias, what do you make of the Vinicius taking the penalty and not Mbappe? Hang on. Both those guys have egos.
Yeah.
And Mbappe probably went to the gaffer's office after the game and said, when are you going to put me on penalties?
Maybe yes. Maybe that happened.
And it's funny. Like, I can't stand Real because they're so good, but I love all their players.
Well, you know what happened?
I love Mbappe, love Vinicius.
I love them players. I love them. They know how. I mean, they're superstars, right? The thing with Vinicius is like, even though he has such a good quality, his ego, man, his ego is losing.
He's going to be
sold.
His ego is losing.
Damien, you've been now open up, Elias, open up the curtain a little bit. You guys have been on this for a while with Vinicius being sold.
I'm telling you, I'd rather have Real Madrid sell Vinicius than Rodrigo, for example. Okay? I'm telling you why. Rodrigo is a workhorse. He just, whatever you want him to play.
No ego.
He'll do it. You want him to play as a right back, he'll do it.
Got pulled off in that game.
Yes, but
they pulled him off in that game.
Vini, the thing with Vini is, and this is me as a neutral, I see Vini. His ego is huge. His ego is damaging his image, and as Real Madrid as an institution can't afford to have a player do those kind of public displays. You know what I mean? his ego, man.
And
It kind of
I don't like
happened.
him.
I feel like all hell broke loose when they brought in Kylian.
Why, yes,
Yeah.
but why would you at the end
They're
of the
fighting
game?
for that left wing.
Yeah,
almost.
they are.
Yeah.
And no one wants to play striker. Rodrigo, Vinicius, and Mbappe all could play the position. Every single one of them
Yeah,
wants to come in out off the
ultimately,
outside.
There's been reports that he's not getting along with Kylian.
And exactly,
with Bellingham.
and that's why I said after that missed penalty, I guarantee you Mbappe went to Ancelotti's office.
But
and said,
I don't
"Listen, put
think
me
we
on
even
penalties."
need the reports. You could see it on the field.
Well, he
you
took
could
it off.
sense the tension.
He took off Vinicius.
Of course, he had to.
And he said, no, he was only tired. No, man.
No, he had
we
to.
were not
Apparently,
born yesterday.
Vinicius said he wasn't good mentally.
He had to take him off. And even if Vinicius didn't say anything to the gaffer, Ancelotti had to
Well, you
take
know
him
what?
off.
At least
Any good coach would take him off.
But at least have some respect, man.
Right.
Like, why are you miss a penalty? Brother, you don't put your jacket on the floor on the field.
He was
making
disconnected from the game.
fun of-
Now-
don't do that.
Now, with this next fixture, moving on to the next fixture with Arsenal and Real Madrid. Elias, you being an Arsenal fan, I made the case to my Arsenal buddies. My brother is a huge Arsenal fan. Our good buddy Pat's an Arsenal fan. I made a case to them that I think there is a world we live in where Arsenal can dig in. I think that they could dig in, play defense,
Madrid is vulnerable.
and kind of be. I don't think they're going to come out of the result. And how weird is it that Arsenal has the first home game and Madrid has the second home game?
it's weird.
And Arsenal is the top.
Those
the
things
top
always
tier
work
seed.
in favor of Madrid. though.
Exactly. That's
On
why
that
I mean
one,
I
yes.
have boys. I have buddies between the double touch and this right now. I have buddies that are very upset with the way that they are treating Madrid. But I think Arsenal could dig in and get it and maybe get a result
Yeah,
against Real
I was
Madrid.
talking to Damon yesterday. I'm like, I rather play Madrid than Atletico Madrid because Atletico will just sit back and wait, and Arsenal likes to push. Now Madrid is gonna play as an open team. They're gonna be open. They're gonna go and they're gonna want to score. Arsenal can, use that in their advantage. Do you remember the game in Real Madrid Man City like 2 years ago when Man City won the Champions League? You remember Man City was defending and then going in the counter? I think Arsenal is going to do the same.
Okay.
Especially because they don't have the players right now.
Damien, do you think the firepower could be too much, though, for Madrid? I mean, if Vinicius can get out of his own head, Mbappe is in form. I know Rodrigo got pulled off in that game against, Atletico as well, but they have a lot of firepower up top. Do you think maybe they could overwhelm Arsenal a little bit?
I think I agree with Elias. I think Real Madrid is the most vulnerable right now.
Wow.
And not just because of what we see up front, but Mendy. Mendy went out with another injury. And
Yeah,
it
he
looks like
did, and it
hamstring.
was weird because it looked like he got beat. There was a ball behind him. I believe the flag was up.
It was
He
just a
raised his hand
muscular
and he
injury.
immediately came out.
And my point is not because, Mendy is this game-changing player, but because they're already struggling defensively on filling in players. They had
Right.
to bring up Asensio, who's done great
Mm-hmm.
from Castilla. So they already have many holes defensively. They had to move Valverde, sacrifice what he does in the middle to put him at right back because there was nobody else. Lucas Vasquez couldn't do it. So now you're telling me you lost another defender. That's why I think Madrid is vulnerable.
And you've been on the depth of Madrid for a long time with us. You said they need a center back.
They needed Trent. That was a huge signing for them, and that's why they were upset that Trent didn't.
And I
come
feel
in
like they get. I know
January.
Rudiger's been. How about that tackle by Rudiger late in that game
Nice.
too in the box?
Yes.
Saved
And the
goal.
penalty, he sealed it.
Correct.
By the way, I
correct.
don't know if you guys saw the
Rudiger's quality.
I don't know if you guys saw the video, but apparently Endrick was supposed to take that final PK, and he was scared. He didn't want to take
No,
it.
I mean,
And
18
Rudiger
years
stepped
old.
up and said he would take it.
17, 18 years old. I mean, it's normal, I guess.
I mean, I get it, but
Not every.
How about Ancelotti with the cojones
But
to
he-
put a
Endrick-
17-year-old up
Endrick was
there?
saying a few weeks ago how he wanted to go on loan because he felt like he wasn't getting too much plays. I mean, if you're brave enough to come out and say those things, then I figure you're brave enough to take a penalty.
Well,
if
there's
not,
no-
sit and enjoy the process.
There's no doubt that Endrick is a hell of a talent. When was that? Where'd that report? Some of these soccer reports, it's like, do we believe
There was
them?
a video. There was actually
there
a
was
video.
a video.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, regardless, I'm really looking forward to that Arsenal and Madrid matchup. And that'll kind of wrap up our Champions League coverage with around the world. Those were the big games. The rest of the games, I'm all done with the Portuguese teams. My God, what are we doing here? But Barcelona wins 4-1 against Benfica. Borussia Dortmund, kind of closer than expected against Lille. They win 3-2. And God, I was completely wrong on that Bayern Munich and Bayern Leverkusen matchup. 5-0 on the aggregate. Bayern Munich destroying Leverkusen and the heart of Serie A. How about that? The last Serie A standing. Inter Milan defeats Feyenoord in their knockout matchup. So this is how the round of 8 looks. This is how the round of 8 looks. Arsenal and Real Madrid, PSG and Aston Villa. That'll be a good fixture, boys. Yes. PSG and Aston Villa. Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund, and then Bayern and Inter Miami. Really good, juicy matchups. Cannot wait to break those down as we get closer. Now, I believe they take a 4-week break here. We have like about a month break here, and then we are back with Champion League matchups. I did want to move on in our Around the World segment to the Europa League. We had 2 fixtures. Now, let's cover Tottenham first. Because I have a lot to say about United, naturally. Tottenham, it seems like Big Ange has 9 lives, right? Every time Big Ange is about to get the sack, he turns out a result. I go back to the United game, 2.5 weeks ago now, when they said, if he doesn't beat United, he's going to get the sack. Well, they beat the brakes off of United. And then now, yesterday, Big Ange, after being, I believe, tied on the aggregate with a Dutch team, he gets the result at home at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And here is Big Ange talking about the status of his team after they move on to the round of 8 in the Europa League knockout stage.
My mood's not dictated by outside, and it's dictated by internal things. And I've never wavered from the fact, and I think I've said consistently that, when we're at our best, we can compete with anyone. And, we get an opportunity now, like I said, to build up some of our players and hopefully, like I said, still some significant talent out who could be coming back. So all those kind of things are going to be helpful for us to reach the levels we need.
Quickly, Elias, Tottenham, can they win Europa League, and does Big Ange have 9 lives?
Oh, yeah, he has 9 lives. He can win the Europa League. I think this is the end for him. I think Eintracht Frankfurt...
No matter what?
No matter what. I think Eintracht Frankfurt is going to win. I think the German team is going to kick them out.
And that's their next fixture in the round of 8, by the way.
That's the next fixture, yes, 100%. And the thing is, they're going to do it. They're going to play against them. I don't see them winning because this team, I don't know what they do, but every time they're in Europe, they compete. Remember, they won against Barcelona. They kicked them out in the Europa League some years ago. They know how to play the tournament. And also, Tottenham, they might have some good players. As he was saying, we have injured players that are coming back.
Well, and to that point, the injured players, Elias, it's because of the high line and the way, then the style of play, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's why. That's the issue. If you don't have a Romero, if you don't have Mickey van de Ven, you can't play that back line so high, So that's the issue with them. At the end, it happens. It's just history of the Tottenham. It's what happens when you believe you're a big club and you're not. So it is what it is with them. I guess Big Ange, he might last longer than Amorim. We don't know.
Is he down to his last life over there, Damian Perez?
I think Tottenham has they have room to. I wouldn't say win Europa League, but I mean the path is a bit favorable. They play Frankfurt, which I would say it's probably a tough match. Frankfurt is in a great moment, but if they do get past them, it's either Bodo or Lazio, and I think those are 2 favorable teams. They could possibly make it to the finals, but I would agree. They would need to win Europa League or have a big splash for his job to be saved.
Let's move on to United, boys. And, me as a diehard United fan, it has not been the season that I thought the Red Devils were going to have. I told you I could do a full hour on this, but we were going to focus on the fixture that happened against Real Sociedad. And Bruno coming in and saving the day for the Devils. Let's hear from Ruben Amorim, the head coach for the Red Devils, Manchester United, talking about how his feelings are feeling after the matchup against Real Sociedad.
Yeah, it's the feeling is completely different. Not just the result, but the way we play. So it's the same job, but it's completely different. So, but the good thing and the bad thing is that. After this game, it's over, and tomorrow we are going to think about Sunday. Is going to be hard. The next game in Premier League.
All right, couple of things here. Number one, let's get one thing straight. I'm going to complain about Amorim. You guys are just going to have to get used to it. I don't think he should be sacked. So, when I complain about Amorim, this isn't me wanting him to be sacked. It's me being frustrated that he's playing 3 at the back in the Premier League. It works in Europe. I'm not. Listen, Amorim has found a way to get results in the Europa League. We could sit here and talk about how bad the teams are in Europa League. I understand this is
undefeated in Europe, actually.
I understand that this isn't Champions League, but his style of play seems to be working in Europe, and fair play to that. My problem with him is You play in the Premier League, and you're not getting the results you want, and you're still trotting out that 3 in the back that doesn't work in that league. Moving on to the team. There's no quality on this team. And Damian, I know you want to push back a little bit with me on Xerxes, but I watched it, obviously with this game being at the time that it is. I was working yesterday and whatnot. I watched all of the highlights. And to see Xerxes miss chance after chance, to see Højlund, I mean, what is wrong with how is Rasmus Højlund gone from being a wonder kid last year to absolutely looking like he doesn't belong in the Premier League and that he's a championship player? I don't understand how Højlund and Xerxes, 2 guys you paid 110 million pounds for, can't find the back of the net. You have strikers. You guys know we sit here and complain about Darwin Núñez. I would take Darwin Núñez 10 times over these guys that I have up top. I look at this Manchester United team, and there is no quality. Outside of Bruno Fernandes, but honest to God, boys, when I say this, I mean this with my whole heart. Outside of Bruno Fernandes, if the other kids and guys on the team left, I wouldn't bat an eye. Lenny Yoro has been a disaster. Ugarte has been a disaster. Mazraoui has been a disaster. I'm done with Harry Maguire. Dalot isn't good anymore. How the hell is Lindelof on this team? How is Johnny Evans on this team? What? Christian Eriksen, if I see him come on the pitch one more time, I'm going to have a heart attack. Casemiro's getting fat off of bad wages. The team is in complete financial hell, and the one bright spot that came from your academy, Kobe Mainoo, doesn't even want to be there anymore. This is an absolute disgrace of a United team, and somehow they find themselves in the Europa League top 8.
I think you just showed what the problem is, though. It's just the vibes in general are not there. I don't think any player can come into the situation Man United is in and just thrive.
Garnacho taking step back. Hey. Rasmus Højlund taking a step back. The one of the lone bright spots, Amad Diallo, out for the season. And by the way, I'm gonna go after someone here. Mickey Mount, okay? Mickey Mouse, Mason Mount, that's his name. The biggest disgrace in English football. Bought him for 70 million pounds. He's played like 3 games. He's getting fat off of United wages. It's embarrassing,
26
man.
26 years old. That one's
embarrassing, man. Chelsea waxed them.
Mike is getting red, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys see him on the stream.
Dude, Chelsea waxed us blind for Mason Mount. Someone called the cops. This is highway robbery. Someone called the sheriff.
You know what happens also, like, I'm going to Damian's point, because he's going to go to Damian's point. He's going to support it. The issue are not the players. Rashford left United, went to Aston Villa.
He's thriving.
He's back in the
What do you mean?
team.
It's all his fault. I told you guys he's a scapegoat.
No.
I am the biggest Marcus.
No,
I am the biggest Marcus Rashford fan there is. And I say ask any of my friends. Oh, dude, I defended Rashford at every turn, and I always said he's the scapegoat for United.
But you know why the system works in Europe and doesn't work very well in the Premier League? The intensity in the Premier League is not the same as in Europe. Right? It's not the same.
And the local pressure.
Yeah. So it's
They can't play at home.
But that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
But how do you expect a 22-year-old in Holland or a 23-year-old in Xerxes to come in and thrive in those situations?
Well,
it's just I feel like at this point, going to Man United is basically
a death sentence.
Yeah, a death sentence.
Yeah. Call it for what it is. A damn death sentence.
Not just for players, but also for managers. I mean, Amorim was this like bright spot at Sporting.
What do you mean?
What
do you mean? Wait, hang on. I got a nickname. You talking about Wonder Boy? You guys so rizzy. Everyone wants this guy.
If it's one coach,
it's a disaster. That guy's a disaster.
Who do you want?
I told you guys when I complain about Amorim, it's not me wanting a fight. You can't fire him. You signed up for him. It's fine. I'm telling you guys, and what I told my buddies, what I told you guys at the time, all you guys tell me how great of a signing this is, it really worried me. And
Since Alex Ferguson,
Wonder Boy has been a disaster in the Premier League.
Who has succeeded at Man United since Alex Ferguson?
I mean, Ali at the wheel was good for a little bit, and then you signed Jadon Sancho. The Ronaldo stuff happened. And
for Manchester United standards, none of them. Nobody.
No, Ten Hag had success. If we want to sit here and he have won 2 trophies.
For United standards?
Well, listen. As a United fan, all right, they won 2 trophies. Something Arsenal can't relate to. We won 2 trophies.
In history, Manchester United is up there with Real Madrid as far as like pedigree.
Why are you using my team?
You can't be happy with the Carabao.
Why are you using my team, man? Like, you are sitting down in the table. You're a disaster. You were fighting.
We're call for what it is. We're scroll down FC.
For relegation. I mean,
we're scroll down FC.
But you can't live in the past. Right now, the present, you guys are not good enough. You don't have the quality. you have a quality coach, but he doesn't have the tools to work. They don't have.
Are we sure he's
the support?
He's a
Actually,
quality coach. We're sure he's a quality
You are
coach.
canceling the food for the workers at the team. You're giving them
To-
soup and
Yeah,
cheese
I mean,
sandwiches.
everything that's
on.
coming out from Manchester
Come
United
on.
is disgraceful.
To-
I mean, at
to-
this
Come on,
point,
man.
It is a disgrace. It's too
how,
elite.
how much can you blame the players and the coach at this point without looking at everything else that's going on?
I blame the players because they're on fat wages and they're not performing.
They're about to lose
listen.
those
You get,
wages.
Why I'm not making excuses for
but
players.
wait,
Me,
don't
I'm
only-
not making excuses,
From
but they're
that
rubbish.
perspective, you're
These
right
players
about that.
are rubbish.
You're right about that. These players, Manchester United
Rubbish.
wages are
They're
one of
not
the
United
highest.
quality. You just had your damn owner, Sir Jim Radcliffe. Okay, so did you see what what I'm talking about? He had an interview. God, I forget who it was with.
Gary Neville.
He basically said that they're not United quality. What are we doing here? They get rid of them. What did you
right.
do? You sat
You're destroying the value of your team by saying that.
teams like Brentford, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Brighton, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest all have better players than you. It's an absolute disgrace. You're Manchester United. You had CR7.
But
You had goats like Nani and club legends like Scholesy and
I hate to break it to you, Mike.
Giggsy. What the hell happened here?
I don't think players are going to come to United over Liverpool, over Madrid, over Barcelona, heck, even over teams like Arsenal and
Well, what,
and
Damien,
Manchester
to that
City.
point-
Well, my team is on a small team, dude.
To-
What's going on here?
Because
I just feel
Arsenal
like
gets thrown into everything.
Manchester United is not the ideal situation, and
But
players don't wanna
here's
go
what's
there.
going to have to happen. Amorim is going to have to pinpoint guys that are a part of his system. All right, if he's going to run three at the back of the Premier League, my frustrations come if you're going to do that. Okay, you need your players there, and to sit there and run three at the back and have it not work in the toughest league in all of Europe and in all of the world, and to still run it—that's insanity. To trot out the same thing that is not working time in and time out is absolute insanity.
Yeah.
We got to move on, boys, because we got to get to the pitch preview. We got to see what is coming up this weekend, and we have a cup final. We have the EFL, the Carabao Cup, the EFL Cup final. Damien Perez's Liverpool is taking on Newcastle. We have City and Brighton in the Premier League. That is 11 a.m. on Saturday. We have Arsenal and Chelsea on Sunday, and we have Leicester City and United coming up on Sunday as well. And then, Damien, you had a couple of fixtures in La Liga, which featured teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid.
That's right. I think the biggest one is the one on Sunday. Atletico Madrid takes on Barcelona in El Metropolitano. After that huge loss, it was a 120-minute game, penalties. I'm curious to see how Atletico Madrid responds in a game that's very, very important. This could possibly be the only trophy that they win this season, being La Liga. And if they lose that game, they fall even deeper into, I think it's 4 points away from Barcelona. So it's a game after a huge crushing defeat against Real Madrid that I'm curious to see how Atletico Madrid comes out at home against Barcelona in a game that could really dictate the rest of their season.
So that is the pitch preview, folks. Those are the big games. Once again, Cup final, Carabao Cup, Liverpool and Newcastle, City and Brighton in the Prem, Arsenal and Chelsea in the Prem, Leicester and United in the Prem, and then Villarreal versus Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid versus Barcelona. Obviously, Atletico coming off of that heartbreaker knockout in the Champions League round of 16. Well, boys, episode 1's in the books. You know one
sir.
thing? I'm gonna be a very angry United fan on this show, apparently, huh?
Really quickly,
Be very angry.
I'm kind of worried about that game on Sunday for Liverpool as well.
Yeah.
Newcastle hasn't won a major tournament in 70 years. The last one was
They'll
in
fold.
1955 FA Cup. I don't know.
I think
this is the World Cup final for them.
I think Arne Slot and Liverpool are going to have something to prove. Now, are they? The famous saying is, no one cares about the Carabao Cup. I wonder what the lineup.
That's kind of my point. I
wonder what the lineup will look like. Is
Newcastle's
Salah?
going to come out there and they're going to throw everything
You
they
know
can at
what?
Liverpool.
Even though that's maybe true, I don't agree. For me, a trophy's a trophy. If you need it, if you don't need it, a trophy's a trophy.
It's rich coming from an Arsenal fan, Damien. I guess we have.
That's why he's saying it.
We have picked on Elias today. We have dragged this team to the
that's
mud.
Fine. That's fine.
Elias, I got to, like I told you, my brother and my friend Pat, they drive me nuts with the Arsenal stuff sometimes. So
that's fine.
I just when Arsenal, piles on United, we have more trophies in the last 2 years, and we're an absolute mess right now.
100%. But coming from someone who's in the 14th position,
Call Elias, get your shots in. I
don't mind.
We are scroll down FC. That is exactly.
I don't mind.
That is exactly what Manchester United
you
is.
guys all need to use an iPad or something.
Damien
like that.
Perez #scroll down. FC. Well, this was episode 1, boys. A lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
A lot of fun. Once again, West Palm FC. We are a YouTube-based podcast on ESPN West Palm Play. We are looking forward to giving you guys great soccer coverage for a very long time here and for the rest of the way for Champions League this year, Europa League this year. We got the Club FIFA World Cup coming up. And let's not forget, we are, all three of us cover Inter Miami and have duties with the Spanish and the English radio networks across the board. And we are very excited for our Inter Miami Herons in the season that they're having. Once again, the Herons 5-1-0. 1 draw and 5 wins, and they've won 5 in a row. So Inter Miami certainly really wheeling and dealing right now, and Lionel Messi scoring a goal in Jamaica to help his legacy even more. This has been West Palm FC. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you on episode 2 next week.